What's happening, everybody? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? So I'm trying to do this a little different today because even my co-host John doesn't even know this. So there's a YouTuber that's a part of the Knick community. His name is Ron Cleveland, and he has the Man show. As I was scrolling through things yesterday, I noticed that he had put up a post. It's like a 5-minute video, and he said that this is the last Man show. Apparently, he thinks life. Yeah, man. That's it. He said he's hanging it up right now because he's a spiritual person. He likes to practice his ministry, and there's a lot going on in the world right now with COVID and different things, and he just feels that he's doing a disservice by not following his other passion, because he doesn't feel he can do both at the current moment. So, yeah, I just want to give a big shout out to Ron Cleveland out there. If you're watching,
for sure.
Hey, you're one of the real ones, man. We appreciate you. We appreciate you, and we hope nothing but the best for you. I hope your mom is still recovering, and we hope to see you back doing the Man show in the future. Thank you for everything you've done so far, brother. Salute.
That is a fact, man. Salute to you, man, and God bless.
Yes, sir.
We'll do our best to hold it down and continue to give good.
We're gonna try. We're gonna try, man.
We'll do our best.
Definitely.
But that's a dope show, man. I definitely subscribe to his show, and I used to follow him. So I still follow him. So, wish the best to him and his family and everything he wants to do. And shout out to you, Ron Cleveland, man.
Yes, sir, man.
So what we got today, sir? What we got today?
All right. So we are back. This is Still Knick Fans, episode number 26. I'm your man, Ron. That's my brother, John. And we got Summer League basketball happening. You know how it is. We finally got back to the real ball playing, if you want to call it that. These young whippersnappers out here doing their thing. It's exciting.
Looking fresh to death. All that high energy. Love it. Love it. It's unfortunate we didn't come out with the win. All that youth, it's looking nice.
Well,
I've never seen so many running back and forth, fast breaks and layups missing.
Facts, man. I was getting sweaty just watching these young kids, man. I'm like, I can't do this no more. After two runs back and forth, the game is over for me. That's it. That's when I start playing like horse or something. Yeah, it's a wrap. But
do some shooting around
man.
From
so
the outside.
we got some summer league stuff to go over. Fortunately for us, we got 2 games to talk about because the Knicks had their regularly scheduled game against the Raptors yesterday, and then because of COVID protocols with the Washington Wizards, their game against the Indiana Pacers got postponed. So the Knicks took the mantle and decided to play the Pacers today at 2:00. So that's another game that we got in the books that we could talk about. There's some things happening with this team. We got some conversation about Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker, and the Knicks made a new acquisition today. So we'll get to all of that stuff in a little bit. But right now, we got ourselves another special guest.
We just keep coming in with special guests. I love it.
This is the special guest movement right now. We taking it across town, across the world, across the globe. We're going everywhere. All right. So
nice.
Right now, we got ourselves a very special guest who also has his own. He's a duo as well of a podcast. His name is Mr. Eric Sanchez. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And he is part of the Real Talk. I was hoping that's when your cue you do the second half.
Real Talk, Real Fans.
See, Real Talk, Real. It's like we're like a duo. You complete me. I finish my sentences, and I'm like, yes, yes. Real Talk, Real Fans, and we thank him for being with us today, Eric. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate having you. We know you're a big Knick fan, and you know what? That's what our goal is to bring more and more Knick fans just like us out here to talk about our favorite team. So thank you for coming on.
AKA legend in 2 games. I just want to be sure we say that.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
sir.
Legend
Yes,
in
sir.
2 games. Forgot about that. Yes, that's right. That's right.
It's all good. It's all good. I appreciate you guys for having me on the show. I got to make a minor correction. It is Real Fans, Real Talk. But again, I appreciate you guys having me on the show. And
Got it.
I know you guys are passionate Knicks fans as I am, because in your intro highlight you have French Frank as the first face people see. Only a diehard Knicks fan would start their intro with French Frank as the first person you see. So I know this is real.
That is a fact. That is a fact. I mean,
We
I don't
just
know
don't
if
know
his face is going to
how
be there
long.
next season. His face may not be there, but right now we're running with the Frenchie. Let's go, Frenchie. Well, thanks for coming on board, man. So let me ask you, what exactly is the Real Fans Real Talk podcast about?
So, Real Fans, Real Talk, shout out to my main man, Anthony Jones. He couldn't be with us tonight. It is his birthday, so happy birthday, bro. They have been running for 10 years. I came on board 6 years ago. It is a sports and entertainment podcast. Before COVID hit, we were on live television every Thursday night, Verizon Channel 43. Because of COVID, obviously, now we record the same way you guys are from the comfort of our homes, and they still air on Thursday nights, Verizon Channel 43. It's just we're no longer in studio.
That's
Gotcha.
dope. That's dope.
Okay.
And I've been a long follower of Real Fans, Real Talk. They, Trip Young, Mark Skiskevskis.
Yeah,
I like
was
to
the
mark my
original
man
host.
Mark.
Yeah.
Mark's the original host. For facts.
Right. Him and Anthony were doing it first. I came on board. We kind of had like a 3-man thing going. Then Mark took some time away from the show. So it's just been Anthony and I for the last few years.
Yeah. Shout out to Trip, man, for taking that on, man. That's dope. I'm glad it's continued and it's grown over the years. You guys, traveled, went to many places together, and done shows in Florida and other parts of the United States.
Oh wow!
They have a really strong following, and they've been doing this for, like you said, over 10 years. I know Mark started a while ago. And it's great content. They talk about it all: boxing, talk about basketball, pretty much every sport possible. I did, however, I just want to say I've come first in their Real Fans, Real Talk fantasy football league. I just want to say, shout out.
I'm glad you mentioned it. I was going to plug it towards the end of the show, but we'll talk about it at that time, because we're still doing it, and now we actually give out a trophy for the winner and have you come on the show with the trophy to get the trophy and be a part of the show. So we're going to set that up, because we need to have you guys on. I'm the only Knicks fan on the show. Anthony is a LeBron fan more than anything, so right now he's rooting for the Lakers. So I always got to hear that side. But we'll get into that later.
I mean, happy birthday, Anthony, man. But whatever. I ain't gonna hold it against you, yo. It's your birthday.
Nah, I am tripping. I don't know what you talk about, man. You're a New Yorker going for an LA guy. Come on, son. Who raised you?
This is very interesting that you mentioned a fantasy football league that someone failed to mention to me, but for good reason, because I don't need no more trophies. I get it. Thank you for not mentioning that, John.
I got to get my wins without you. You know what I mean? Sometimes.
That's okay, brother. That's okay. You got to get them somewhere. You ain't getting them over here. You know what I mean? All right. Man. Well, anyway.
Back to Knick Talk.
Yeah. So, once again, thanks for joining us, man. And thanks for the correction. Now I know. And the funny thing is, I was just watching a couple of the shows, trying to get a real feel for the different type of content that you guys do. It's pretty interesting. And it makes sense that you guys have been on for so long, because you cover a lot of different things.
Absolutely.
So
as John mentioned.
Kudos.
Yeah. NBA, MLB, NFL, a little bit of hockey, depending on how good the Rangers are, to be honest. And then boxing. So those are the main ones. And then from time to time, we may dabble in some other things that might be a trending topic, but it's definitely the 4 major sports we cover.
Yeah, you definitely never go wrong when you're talking, tennis and the Williams sisters. They've talked about them, of course.
Absolutely.
So.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Yes. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Thanks for being aboard. Well, when it comes to these Knicks, we did have 2 summer league games. One, as I mentioned, was scheduled. Another was a kind of a postponement game that the Knicks decided to help out with. So, which is great because usually with these summer league games, depending on how your schedule is set up, you may come out the gate with 4 games if you're lucky. But a lot of teams only play 3 games unless you win. If you win out, then you're guaranteed at least to be in their little summer league playoffs, and you get another game. And it's kind of like you got to keep winning in order to keep playing. And unfortunately, not last year because we didn't have a summer league because of COVID, but 2 years ago, the Knicks only played 3 games, and they had a consolation game at the very end, but they had lost those games, so they didn't go anywhere. So we'll see what happens this time around. The first game out the gate, they lost. It was the Immanuel Quickley show. It looks like the Knicks are trying to get him to start running the point guard. Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with it because I like the fact that, look, what are we doing here, as Jadakiss likes to say? You got to see what you got. And you know what? It's time to see what we have in IQ. I have said it all year. I don't think he's a point guard. I don't think he's that's going to be best suited for us and the Knicks. However, as a person and as a player, you don't want to shortchange this guy. He deserves a shot to see what he can do, and maybe he would like to run the point more than anything else. So he deserves the moment. So, and I like the fact they're giving it to him in the summer league. But that first game, he took a lot of shots and he wasn't hitting his shots. He still finished with 8 assists, but I noticed I have this thing about him that he has tunnel vision sometimes, and he missed some open guys. But this is all learning curve. So, I mean, that's my take on watching Quickley. What did you think, John?
I like the idea of giving him some opportunities to play in summer league as a point guard. I always thought, even when they brought him in, I mean, as a 6'3" guard, you don't have that many options, especially defensively. Defensively, you're gonna have to you're really gonna have to work hard at guarding the opposition's point guard per se. I mean, you may be in moments where you're gonna have to guard a 2 guard, but you're undersized there at 6'3". So for me, it's a good idea because if the kid can shoot, right? That we do know, and we know that he can definitely. He hits a high percentage for the free throw line. So at the very least, you get him on attack mode. And if he's in attack mode, things will open up. I think he just has to get used to working on his court vision and figuring out where players need to be or where they're going to be when he's, in the paint. And I think at that point, the game becomes a little easier. If his floater game is on, watch out, because he's a tough player because he's quick. I mean, that's pretty much what he is. He's very quick. He's very sneaky fast, and I think he's gonna be a problem for a lot of guards to stay with, especially during in pick and roll, pick and pop situations. So
right.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I like the idea of him running some point and seeing what he could possibly do.
Yeah, I agree with
you. Yeah, no,
he's got it.
There must be a lag.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Eric. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to say, how do you feel about him as like a point guard?
I think it's the area he needs to work on the most. As you guys both highlighted, he can score. We know that. He's a threat the moment he gets across half court because he'll chuck it, he'll draw the foul on you, he'll get to the free throw line, all those good things. But as you mentioned, Ron, he gets tunnel vision. And in order for him to be a better player off this bench, he's got to be able to initiate offense for others. It was the biggest area of concern in the playoff series. And even though most people and fans, I'm sure we all did, wanted Rose to start in that series against the Hawks, the biggest issue was that the offense became stagnant when the second unit came in because they had no one who can initiate offense. So it's an area that he's definitely got to work on. It's fine to be a shoot-first guard. We all love to compare him to Lou Williams, and that's fine. But one thing that Lou Will does is create for others as well, and that's where Quickley's got to get better.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, that's exactly right on point. I think the reality is that if you look at Lou Williams, when, you know, playing with the Hawks, he took a back seat to Trey. You know what I mean? And he was also that off the bench facilitator first and foremost. He did less scoring than he did when he was with the Clippers last year. And you know, look, it took them a long way. You know, like they got to the semifinals. So, you know, yeah, it's this is going to be good development for him. You know, and I'm glad they're giving him an opportunity versus, you know, they could have easily went a different direction, handed that off to, you know, one of the younger players. You know, so this is a good
Yeah.
opportunity for him to kind of show or learn as things progress throughout the season.
Yeah, it's very smart. Um, you know, I would say that you know, whoever is really calling the shots with regards to this, because there's so many moving parts. We don't know if it's Leon Rose, if it's Worldwide West, but whoever is, or Scott Perry, but whoever is
Could
making
be
the
a
decision,
combination.
correct, it
It
could
could be
be.
very well
Whoever's
be a
making the
combination.
decision, they're doing a good job. Because I like the
Hmm.
fact that not only do you give Quickley an opportunity to get out there and learn, you know, how to put himself in good spots to you know, make easy shots for his teammates. You're also basically having him as a mentor role, because you know he is the elder statesman amongst a lot of these young guys that are coming into the league, right? He's already been on the Knicks for a year, and he's got a little playoff experience. So it, not only while he's learning, he can feel confident in that he knows a little something that they don't. It's a good mix. I feel like you know, he's definitely he's taken it all in stride, because that first game yesterday, the way he played, he was a little all over the place. You know, he was trying to find different spots, trying to do different things, but and his shot wasn't falling. But that's going to happen to any basketball player. Sometimes you just don't have it, and it could be at any time, right? But then you see the difference today. You know, the shots were falling, and he was definitely. I on Twitter, there was a lot of people going crazy about the Knicks, trying to get rid of guys. Oh, this guy, I don't know about this guy, I don't know about that guy. And I'm
It's
going
too
back and
early
forth
to
with these guys.
tell.
Like, look, you got to calm down, man. And I said, look, the difference with Quickley yesterday is if Quickley was hitting half of his shots, Knicks win the game. That's how easy and simple it was. What happens today? Quickley hits the majority of his shots, that he's taking a majority of the you know, the offensive flow. Knicks win the game. It's just how the game, you know, how it happens. Is sometimes you're working on things, the ball is not going in the hoop. It's not favorable. I
I
think that
mean,
he he's definitely not. There's nothing to worry about with Quickley. Whether or not he becomes a point guard for the Knicks or not, he is going to be a good player for the Knicks.
right. And I mean, it's ridiculous of people on Twitter to go crazy over a summer league game. 80% of this roster isn't going to be on the actual team come opening night. So what are we really analyzing? The point of the summer league is to improve and work on certain areas of need. And for IQ, as we mentioned, he isn't going to be a point guard on his team. He's not going to be the starting point guard. And with the second unit, they expect
Hmm.
Derrick Rose to run the show. So right now, you're just working on his ball handling and make him another shot creator, because you can never have too many shot creators on your team. But it's not for him to come out on opening night now and be the lead guard that's expected to get 6 to 8 assists every night. That's not happening.
Yeah, no, I totally agree
I
with
agree.
that. And one other thing is, like, the season is long, right? You got 82 games, and with the guys that we have on our team, you know, looking at the history, we have D Rose, who has history of knee problems, and also now you know, bringing in Kemba Walker, who just came out of a few injuries. You know, you don't know how how many games they're going to play throughout a season. So, in order for us to make sure we have depth in our lineup, we have to give them these opportunities, because when you look at McBride, and I like that what they're doing with McBride, and they're shifting him over to sort of the two guard, because now you have the combination between Quickley and McBride. You know, not to say that he's going to stay on the squad, but if he does, as far as depth is concerned, you have an opportunity there that are interchangeable, and you have kids who are going to go after it. You know what I mean? They're not afraid of the lights. You know, they're gonna come out, they're gonna play defense, they're gonna be aggressive, they're gonna shoot the ball, you know, and they're not gonna just be pass first guards, you know. This is a league of guards, and you need them to be, you know, aggressive in order to make anything happen when it comes to offensive tempo. So I think this is a good opportunity for both of them to experience what the NBA level of basketball is, or will be when they step on the court with the everyday players. But and not to mention, you look at the depth. We have Vildoza came on. He played some minutes, and that's key because I think he's signed right now. So who's to say if he gets like that final spot? You know what I mean? And I think when you look at our Knicks roster, depth is it's a big difference between this year and last year. Last year we lacked the depth. You know what I mean? We were light everywhere. We was like, and this year it seems like we're garnering those positions. We're making sure that we're a whole team, a full team, even if we have to put some of these guys in the D League for a little bit in case someone gets injured. We have options now. You know what I mean? Eric, what do you think about that?
Mm-hmm.
No, you're absolutely correct. Leon Rose has done a wonderful job of restructuring this roster. As you mentioned, just last year to start last season, we were expecting big minutes at point guard from Elfrid Payton, Dennis Smith Jr., and French Frank. And now within 1 year, we're relying on Kemba, Derrick Rose, Quickley. Vildoza may get some minutes at point. It's a very deep team. These young guys are going to really have to fight. I do like McBride because what he brings on the defensive end. And if you look at his freshman year to his sophomore year, his shooting improved across the board, whether it was twos, threes, or free throws. His assist to turnover ratio was better his sophomore to freshman year. So he's a player. But as you mentioned, it's going to be tough to make this roster because we got some vets that are hungry. We got some young guys that are hungry. And we can go 10, 11 deep on any night.
Yeah, you ain't lying there. This is a good problem to have. I mean, I like my teams when they have too much of certain things because you know what? With injuries that normally happen, the wear and tear, the schedule, the back-to-backs, now COVID, you got all these different things that are happening. It's good to have players around that you can, pull from when you have situations. And let's not for nothing, the Knicks are kind of a brittle team. We got some injury-prone guys on our roster. So it's good to have backups and people in place that can, cover. And these are all adequate ball players. So I like the fact that in the past we'd have these issues and we'd go to like the G League guys would have to come up and it was not pretty.
And there wasn't enough talent in the G League at the time. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
We didn't have enough talent. We were trying to make guys like Dotson and was Trier and those guys live up to NBA caliber players, but when it was a big game, they just didn't have enough. You know what I mean? And I think it's good that we're getting younger. I like that we're keeping a couple of real vets that are great clubhouse guys and kind of mentors and coaches on the bench, like a Taj Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, because you need that guy. He's a New York guy, and he's just going to bring in that New York mentality. He's going to teach these young kids how to do it the right way. How to save your body during the season. Things like that is like those things you can't really. I mean, you have to show and prove. You have to have been there in order to like show someone else how to get through a season that's 82, games long. Same thing with Derrick Rose, bring him back and he's coming off the bench. He's that mentor guy. He's that guy who's going to like, eat right, watch your diet. I mean, he's speaking that to truth right now, seeing his game develop, and he talks about how he had to diet, and change how he ate and everything. So it's going to be great for these kids to have that mentorship and in locker room and in action too. Look, Taj, who would have thought we would have been watching Taj play most of the second half of the season, right? And then doing a legit job as a number 2, right? Sometimes even as a starter.
Right.
So,
yep. Well, I mean, these are all strong points for the Knicks, man. This is all about the direction we are heading in. We're not going to be a championship team overnight. Hopefully, we do get there at some point. But, the road to that is going to be a long one. People get a little taste of the playoffs. And they're like, oh, next year, look at these Lakers. Look what they do. And look at the Bucks. We got to be right there. You ain't getting right there. It's going to take a minute. And hopefully, although I'm going to put this out here. I'm starting to think that the Knicks already see it because I'm already seeing it. A a lot of these stars that the Knicks had on their radar are locking themselves up with their teams. So next year might be another bad offseason to attract a big name free agent. So the Knicks going to have to keep doing what they're doing and possibly pull off some type of trade if they feel like they're ready. But I know they're not going to do it until they know that this team is ready for that next step. So we'll see what happens. But I just wanted to jump on the chat real quick and just give a couple mentions here. We got a couple people in the chat. Andre Jackson with the thumbs up. We got Jay who says, yes, sir. Finally, I'm catching you guys live. So that's cool. Jay, thank you for tuning in. Terry Spain kind of hurt my heart a little bit because his comment was the Hawks. I don't need to see that, Terry Spain. Thank you.
I gotta shout Terry out. I know Terry is a good friend of mine. We had a lot of back and forth banter in the playoffs, so he gets that one. You got that one, Terry.
So he did say though he does like the direction the Knicks are heading in. So we appreciate that. Jose Lopez said Jalen Green is the future, and that is a fact. That boy can ball. Look, if we could have got him, I would have loved to have him, but we made the playoffs, so we didn't get that bad of a pick.
I see what you did there. Huh?
I'd rather have the playoff games than the second pick. So yes,
facts. And Edwin Torres said he thinks the addition of Kemba, we can use Rose more and rest Kemba, or vice versa, I guess. And he's excited for the season, and next season's free agent draft should be a good one. That's true too. These next couple classes look like they're going to be pretty good, and I feel like 2023 is so far away, but that's the one I'm waiting for with them high school kids. We'll see what happens.
Right. But is that Bronny's year? Is that the year Bronny?
I think that is Bronny's year. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, I wouldn't mind having Bronny on the Knicks. Look, I don't like his father, but once we get the son and we get the father's energy, we good.
You know, it's always going to be a play. That's going to be the talk of the town. So that's without a doubt.
Let's let Bronny get to that point first.
Right.
That point. But I will say, in terms of that 2023, I believe the Knicks have a couple of second-round picks in the stash now, which might be very valuable that year because that's going to be a very deep draft pool.
Yeah. I don't know how many picks overall we have in 2023, but I think we have around 6 in total. That's going to be way too many. So some of those are going to get moved, but whatever. It's nice to have options, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, look, they've done a great job, the front office, keeping under the salary cap, making the moves that are for us. Because I mean, a lot of these moves weren't for us. You know, they weren't. It's not like agents were reaching out to us directly, or reaching out to Leon Rose and his team and saying, "Hey, we're going to make a deal." You know what I mean? So if it wasn't for us, it didn't seem like they chased anyone down or made headline news chasing anyone. You know what I mean? I think they made the right moves by signing the guys that we were able to sign at the price points that we were able to sign them. You know, I mean, look, we got Julius Randle somewhat at the cheap, right? I mean, he's making 21, 22 a year. You know what I mean? And that's
right now.
That's a discount in comparison, right? Say that again.
Right now, it's at 21 with the new deal kicking in. I think it's going to be closer to about 28. But even at that, I had read somewhere when they were just breaking down the numbers, he's still like the 39th highest player in the league. So that's a steal for a guy who was second team All NBA and who's an All-Star.
Yeah, he easily could have asked for 40 mil easily. You know what I mean? But he gave us the home discount. You know what I mean? And I think that's just showing us that he wants to be here and showing us that he wants to win with us and build kind of what that foundation that the Knicks need to build. And I'm glad they're moving on his side. You know, they're moving along with them. So the key for me is that how do you incorporate a Toppin into the mix? You know what I mean? Because in my eyes, they play the same position. You know what I mean? And I see that they're still trying to play Toppin at the 3 at times, you know, in the summer league. I think they're still not going away from that project. It still needs a lot of improvement with the ball handling, in my opinion. But I think, you know, we'll see how it works. I know one thing. They get him on a fast break. now with Kemba, he's going to get the ball. He's going to get touches. That's one thing you can see from Kemba. Kemba definitely gives up the rock on a fast break. So we'll see how that looks.
No, I agree. I agree with you. And I just wanted to say really quickly, and this is kind of thanks to you too, John, because you talked about this before and you made me start thinking this makes sense. Julius did give us the homeboy discount, which we appreciate. It shows that he is committed to the Knicks and he does want to win here. But he also made a very smart decision, right? Because you got Derrick Rose coming back. You're bringing in a young Miles McBride who could be a future point guard in the making. But you also bring in an established guy in Kemba who, if healthy, is going to be controlling a lot of what goes on with his team, which means Randall will not be holding the ball as much. He won't be facilitating, which takes away from his assist numbers, which takes away from his overall production. He may score more because maybe he'll be in better position to score, but you know what I mean? It could affect his overall value. And maybe he was thinking that too. Hey, I need to do what's right for the Knicks, but I need to do what's right for myself as well, because who knows how the new mix is going to play out. We've got better players, which means maybe I don't have to do as much, which means my value doesn't look as prominent. So let me get my money now. So I think it was twofold.
I agree with you. I agree with you from the standpoint of wanting to do the right thing for himself and the organization. I think he also viewed it as, why go into next season with that type of pressure? Let's make no mistake. You know, we're Knicks fans, but no one saw a 4th seed coming from this team last year. So
that's
there's
true.
There's a possibility that they still may be a good team next year, but they may drop a little bit and they may not be as exciting from that standpoint of, you know, shocking people, because they're not catching anybody off guard anymore. People know what the Knicks do. They know what they're expecting every night. But I will say this. I think adding Kemba helps Randall just from spacing the floor. I think they're still going to allow him to facilitate, because Randall has never been a traditional back to the basket big man. He's always liked to operate face up in space. And again, you look at Kemba's ability to shoot off the catch and shoot or shoot off the dribble. He's just as effective either way. So now you give Randall another outlet, and especially late in shot clock. Referencing back to the Hawks series, the moment Randall got rid of the ball, it was complete disarray because no one else could create a shot. You give Kemba the ball with 6 seconds on the shot clock, Kemba's going to break down a defender and get a shot for you. So I think that's where he's really going to help him. Randall's still going to be able to facilitate. Kemba's going to have his moments, but they're going to help each other just with the space that they're going to create for each other.
Yeah, you could also include in that conversation, you could also include Fournier, because Fournier is also the same type of player who can create off the dribble, can create his own shot, can hit. I mean, I think he's above 40%, sometimes hit over 50% in some cases with Orlando. I know he's had games or had seasons where he's like average above 50 from the 3-point range. So spacing is going to be key this year, and given Randall all these opportunities to not have the ball in his hands at the end of the shot clock, like you were saying. But not only that, it takes the pressure off of him, right? Because now he doesn't have to be the closer. We have 2 closers. There's a fact that, Kemba Walker's a closer, and Fournier himself he's hit big shots when he was with Orlando. So that's big to have. And then it also gives Barrett opportunity to learn more and grow more within the system, which he needs a little bit time to mature into his body. He's only 21 now, right? Did he turn 21? I think he just turned 21.
Yeah, he's 21 now, yeah.
Still building into his body. He's going to be exactly what we thought he was going to be. He's going to be that rough, rugged, to the basket, drive to the basket, taking on guys. He's 6'6". He's super powerful. He's super strong. He's only going to get better as a shooter. So let him develop and become that, 2/3, number 2 option, number 3 option as we move forward. But and I would say in the next 2 years, this year and next year, I could see Kemba really taking the number 1-2 spot. We may have 2 Batmans on this team. You know what I mean? I don't see him taking a backseat to anyone, but I don't know. I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. Health is key. Health is key for the Knicks in general. Anything that happens on this team, if the Knicks stay healthy, they're going to be an issue. They're going to be a problem for the league because they got talented players. health is the only issue. Health affects Kemba. Health affects Mitchell Robinson. A healthy Mitchell Robinson all year, I would love to see what that looks like. So,
Yeah.
we'll see what it shakes down. I don't know. I'm just hoping that crossing my fingers, hoping that the Knicks stay healthy. But
listen, this is gonna be exciting because even though we run, teams know us, right? They know that we're gonna come bring it. The one thing we have on our side is great coaching, and in the regular season, we're always gonna have that balance of good defense and making sure we play, keep other teams under their scoring averages. You know what I mean? Making sure that we keep them below their average of scoring, in during the season. So we're always going to have a chance at the end to come up big, victorious, and even win games that people don't expect us to win, like we did against the Bucks. I think we took 2 from the Bucks this past season. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
we'll be able to do the same thing to other teams who may not take us lightly, but I think just because we're so well coached, it's going to make all the difference in the world because we're going to be prepared. They're going to be in the film room, and they're going to be practicing hard, and that's important.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you're right. I mean, and Eric is right too. We're not sneaking up on anybody anymore. They know the Knicks is, they're coming with something now.
And
so
they should know.
Prepare.
And they should know.
That's a
you
fact.
heard me, Brooklyn.
You play that style of basketball. It's going to get around the league. Teams are going to realize, these guys. It's a tough battle every night. So, like you said, that's what Tibbs brings, and that's what we expect to bring every night.
That's a fact.
Right. That's a fact. Shout out in the chat to Cornelius Thomas, a.k.a. The Prophet. He said, "What's up, John?" So, and he also he has some issues with Obi. He doesn't know if he fits the Knicks. He feels like his game is definitely something that needs a lot of work, but more importantly, it's his mechanics. He's very stiff. So he kind of looks at him like an Aaron Gordon. But I tell you, Obi has a lot to work on still, but the way he is playing right now and the way they're featuring him in these summer league basketball games gives you a little bit of a glimpse as to some of the things he can do. It doesn't always look pretty. Sometimes he'll make a nice little swift finesse move that I'm like, okay, nice. But that was part of the problem with him last year. And I know you used to get on him about his finesse moves instead of coming with the power.
No touch.
Yeah, no touch and no power. But this summer league, these first 2 games, I'm seeing a lot more aggression. He's definitely trying to get to the basket. And sometimes he looks like a bull in a china shop, but he's trying to get to the basket, right? And he's trying to work on his outside game too. Yesterday, he hit 2 threes. Today, I thought he hit 2 threes as well. I was wrong. I took a look at it again, and he hit 3 threes. So he's definitely trying to do whatever he can to score and to be some type of asset for the team. And I guess he's showing some of these young guys, how to play ball because, I mean, let's face it, Obi didn't have a summer league last year because of COVID. So he didn't have this type of chance, even though he's older, 24 years old or what have you. He didn't get this type of experience. And you need this sometimes to go into the NBA. This gives you confidence. Say, hey, I can play with these guys. These are my peers. Mm-hmm. And, it also shows what he can do. I expect him just to keep getting better.
Yeah. Very mechanical, though,
He is.
He's very mechanical. I wish to God that he give me a little bit of more Dominique. You know what I mean? Like, just give me a little, 2 feet action when you're in the paint. Slam that ball down, come up hard. He's just he finds himself. I always find him to be a little bit more finesse getting to the basket, so then he doesn't have enough lift at the back end. You know what I mean? So now he's laying the ball up instead of going lifting in order to dunk the ball on somebody. Which I do see in Sims, though. Take a look at Jericho Sims. Boy, that dude gets up there. But that's all he really got, right? So
he's
you may have a little bit more. Yeah,
he's very raw. He's a 2-year project for them.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, what do you think about Toppin, Eric? I mean, we may be stuck with him for a little bit. He was a high draft pick, so
I felt it was an unnecessary pick when we took him, to be honest, because we knew we were going to focus on Randle at the 4, at least for last season. We didn't expect to have that type of season, but we knew with Randle at the 4, Obi's inability to defend, you really had no place to play him. And that's going to be the question moving forward. If you try to play some type of a small lineup with him and Randle, I mean, you're giving up a lot of defense. You're giving up a lot of rim protection if you don't have Noel or Mitchell on the floor. So I don't know where Obi really can play in this situation. He may be a guy that only plays 12 to 15 minutes a night because he's such a liability defensively. Offensively, he showed us flashes. He gives a lot of energy. John, as you mentioned earlier, in the open court, he's always a threat. We love what he did for us in the playoffs, knocking down a couple corner threes and getting to the basket and getting a block. But those things are too far and few between. He doesn't give that enough. He doesn't give that to you enough where you could say, look, here goes 18 to 20 minutes every night for Obi, just because he's too inconsistent right now.
Right. Yeah. No, there's definitely some work he has to do. As I said, and I say that with a lot of the young guys that come into the league, you got to figure out what your role is going to be, right? How to be the best at your role, and you need some type of go-to move. Whatever it is. It could be a little hook shot, a little baby flow. You got to come up with something that can get you a basket when the team depends on it, because then you're not doing nothing for them. And Obi needs something.
The problem is he has a Stoudemire game, and they're playing him at the small forward position. That's the problem. He can't. He's not the best. Like, his ball handling needs a lot of work. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of work. So if you're playing a kid like that who's better with his back to the basket, and you're playing him at a small forward position because he's 6'8", he may be able to shoot the 3, but outside of that, he's not back. He's not really doing the same. Like, these back down moves that we've seen, in these highlight reels that we shown earlier, like, those back down moves work when you was in college. Last year, it didn't really work in the NBA. Like, guys are stronger. They're built different. You know what I mean? So now you got to face them up, and you got no tools in your tool belt to get past them. And so he was, getting pushed around, and then he would have to, like, do a last minute pass. And some of those line drive passes were, like, kind of out there. You know what I mean? So I just feel like he should be going to some kind of dribbling clinic. You know what I mean? And that's what he should be really focused on. Because once he gets the tools down to dribble the ball and have people commit to his game that way, he'll be a lot better. Because I mean, it's just too mechanical. It's not going to work.
The question is, where do you play him, though? That's the thing. Because like you said, he shouldn't be playing the 3. But if we're giving Julius 35 minutes a night, where are we playing Obi?
Yeah, that's why I agree with you. Like, he's only going to get a maximum 15 minutes, especially if he doesn't develop parts of his game to fit elsewhere. You know what I mean? Or, he may be trade bait. Who knows? But he ain't going to be high quality trade bait if he doesn't show something. That's another thing. It's like,
that is true.
They only sell high if they're getting busy. You know what I mean? So,
but I will tell you one thing: he's showing me more than I've seen from Kevin Knox. Even if I look back at Kevin Knox's summer league game, he had one good game where he lit it up. Obi's had 2 good games on paper, so at least he can do something on the court.
Yeah, listen.
I mean, it's fair, but I think when we took Kevin Knox, we took him too high. He was still very raw, and then it was a bad situation. His first year in New York was a tough situation to come into in terms of the coaching, the front office. We had no real players on that team, and we were expecting Knox to come in and be an instant contributor. And since then, his game just never developed. So I think it was a much tougher situation for him than it has been for Obi.
I agree.
I would have to
but
agree
who?
Plus, no guidance. Who was guiding?
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like you're looking at a guy who was trying to keep his job, and they would, swap him out every minute he got. You know what I mean? And it's like, a kid can't learn on the job, and he definitely can't learn when he's riding the bench. So, what's that about? You know what I mean? I think out of all the players that we picked, he was probably the better shooter that we picked up, but just didn't have anything else to his game. His defense lacked to be, what was he, 6'10", something like that. And now that
Definitely
he
16.
wasn't able to join, he wasn't able to join the summer league either now, and was that due to COVID? What was that due to?
Yeah,
Well,
COVID protocols.
he played in his first summer league, and then last year he didn't get to, obviously, and then this year he's out.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was just a tough situation. I mean, those were obviously tough years coming out of Phil Jackson's era, and then we just didn't have the right leadership on the team. We didn't have the right coaching staff in place, so he never developed. His time, it probably is done with us, but that's also to the point you made earlier, John, where if we can't showcase you, we can't sell high on you. And we've heard a lot of trade talks about involving Knox. But where do you send him? Because he hasn't played enough for anybody to be confident in trading for him.
Right.
We're not going
That's
to
a
get
fact.
many assets for him, if any. Like, they're going to be like, why? If you're going to dump him soon. And, like, there's no real reason to keep a guy like that if you're not going to utilize him and play him. Especially, look, he's not able to even show anything in the summer league. So now what do you do with a guy like that? You're going to bring him in. You're going to only see him in practice now. Now we got 3 games now. We were only going to see him in practice. So it's on Coach Tibbs to give him that vote of confidence, and we'll see. We will see.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wish him the best, but I don't think it's going to be with the Knicks. That's just, and maybe it's for the best for him because you know what? Right now with the talent we got, yeah,
Frank didn't get a qualifying offer either. So
the way Ron said that was like. Ron said that like he was driving him to the airport personally. He's like, I wish him the best.
Yeah, wish him the best.
Yo, man, I don't know, man. I think it's
trunk. Get them in the trunk,
That's what I'm saying. I think it's for the best that he goes somewhere else anyway. He might be able to less pressure. Let's not forget he is on the New York stage. Not everybody can hack the New York stage. So you're not contributing. You're not getting the minutes. You're getting all the boo birds. You're in every conversation. Maybe it'll be better for him to go somewhere, like an Indiana or something like that, where he can just play real quiet in the cut and start showing what he's about. So I'm hoping something happens for him good. But let's talk about somebody who is here, and I expect he's going to be a good contributor. That is my man, Miles Deuce McBride. Let me tell you something. This kid, I am loving everything I see from him. Even if he takes a crazy shot, which he doesn't really. He just takes some shots. He doesn't, he may not hit every shot,
finish.
But
right.
his effort is great, man. And just the way he goes after on the defensive end. And yesterday he played pretty good. Today I would say he played better on the offensive side of the ball because, his jumper was falling. He got a nice little smooth. They say he's the king of the twos right now. I don't know what they're saying, but he's getting some names out there in the summer league. They like him. Yeah, they like his mid-range
right now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Listen, he gets it, man. He's a bull on the defensive end. I mean, we knew that with the pick, and he's one of those kids who's going to go after it. He ain't afraid of the competition, and he's not afraid of the bright lights. It's like I was saying, same way with Quickley when he came in. Quickley, it was interesting because Quickley's summer league was actually the league. You know what I mean? He came in, he got brought in, and he was just like, all right, I'm going to get it. And everybody fell in love. Within a matter of a couple of weeks, everybody was like, oh, my God, we got that new point guard. You remember that? And then all of a sudden, it was like, wait, he's not a two guard. He's not a point guard. He's really a shooting guard. And people started switching up as time went on. But, like, for the first couple of weeks, everybody was high on IQ. You know what I mean? And he came out of nowhere. It's like, who is this kid? You know what I mean? He wasn't even there. Yeah. They're like a top 10 pick, So for me, it's one of those things. You look at a kid like this, you know his pedigree is for real. Was it his father who played football? And his brothers played football. So he's gonna come in with that sort of work ethic. You know what I mean?
And he played some football too.
And he played from football, so so
yeah,
it's a big deal. It's a difference when you got kids who play multiple sports, like my man E over there. You know what I mean? You come in with this little different energy. You know what I mean? You have a different mentality. You're not just focused on one game. There's different levels to different games, so you bring a little bit higher energy when you come on the court, especially if you play football. you know.
Right.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Kenny Payne does with him, and how Kenny Payne develops him, because I like his game. He's tough. He's a bulldog defensively, and as I highlighted earlier, his game got better from his freshman and sophomore year. So it's obvious he's a guy who puts the work in. He gets in the gym. He does what he has to do. He may be similar to IQ, like we mentioned, where he may not be a true lead guard. He may be one of those combo guards, and at 6'2", you got to kind of figure out how you want to play him. But because he's so good defensively, I think he might work his way into a lineup at some point. I think early in the season it's going to be tough. You know, we highlighted they got veteran guards on his team, so to crack the rotation over Kemba, Rose, IQ, Burks, it's going to be tough to get some minutes. But I think when he gets on, Tibbs is going to love him because of what he can bring on the defensive end.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so too.
I wouldn't be surprised if we trade a few assets away. You know what I mean? I mean, we have a deep bench, so starting the season, you know, Tibbs likes to go 8 strong. He ain't going further than that. He ain't really trying to go deep into the bench. You know, he's going to go 8 strong and then have a few people, you know, waiting in the wings just in case some injury pops up or COVID protocols, whatever. So we may see something happen. And as long for me, I look at it like this. If you ain't touching McBride and you ain't touching Grimes, everyone's available, in my opinion. I mean, not folks that are on a salary, but like you want to keep those young kids. You know, you get what I'm saying? You want to keep a good shooter. You want to, you know, now we got a few other, you know, assets under our belt. We have, you know, the other Sims. We have what was his name? It's not Jericho Sims. It's
Oh, you're talking about
kid from Clemson.
Yeah. I think is it Aaron?
I don't think it's Aaron. Is it Aaron? Aaron Sims? No.
Amir.
He's a good ball player too. Amir. Yep, Amir, because it's double A.
Yeah, it's Amir Sims.
Amir Sims.
Yeah.
And he's a good player himself. Like, you know what I mean? I could see him finding, you know, an opportunity with another team. You know, seeing that we're stacking and we're grabbing these young kids. There's a possibility that there can be some trade moves, you know, not for higher tier players, but for like mid-level players. You know, mix them up with a draft pick or two. You can get something for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, you know, the funny thing is, as I said, I was trying to talk some people off the ledge on Twitter. Just as exciting as McBride looks, you got a lot of people that are down on Quentin Grimes. And personally, I'm looking at Quentin Grimes. You know what it is that when they look at his game, they're expecting him to come out, be a sharpshooter, light it up like he's been doing. But, you know, everything has to fall into place. Sometimes you ain't got the shot. Sometimes your look isn't a good look and you're forcing it. And they also looking at his game and saying, well, you know what? Can he really create for himself and get his shot off the dribble? I think he can, but, you know, he still has to understand that this is not college. You know, there's a big difference between college and the NBA, and everything's faster. The defense is better. The guys are bigger. You got to deal with all of that stuff. So some of the things that you could get off before, you ain't going to be able to get off that easy. So he's just got to learn. It's going to take some time.
Yeah, I mean, some of that backlash, too, is people were upset that, you know, the Knicks traded back twice in the first round and ended up taking Quentin Grimes when Jaren Johnson and Keon Johnson were there. So there's that element to it. He's going to have to prove it, though. And as you mentioned, he's got to be able to prove that he can get his own shot off and that he can handle the ball a little bit. He hasn't shot the ball well so far in Summer League. I believe it's something like 5 for 21 so far through the first 2 games. So he's got to show that he can consistently knock down a jump shot. And I wonder if he can defend at the NBA level because he's a little slow as well. He's not real light on his feet, so he's going to have to show that he can defend to get the minutes. To me, he's a wait-and-see type of guy. I want to see a little bit more from him because even as I did a deep dive and look back at his early years in college, his 1 year at Kansas and his first year in Houston, he didn't really shoot the ball well until his junior year. This past season was the first time he shot at 40% from 3. Before the season, his prior season, he shot in the low 30s. So we got to see, was that a 1 year thing or is that something that he's consistently getting better at?
Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, I'll tell you one
I mean,
thing. I mean, he balled out during the callbacks, and having when they're testing these kids out. When he played in
right.
those games, he really showed that his stock rose in those games. So for me, it's like at the very least, he's going to be a gym rat. He's going to come in and he's going to bring it, and he's going to shoot like. Shoot, and he ain't shying away from the shot. I'll tell you that. Shooting 21 shots, he ain't worried about his shot falling. He's confident that sooner or later it will. So that's something that I like to see. I don't like to see that's the one thing I wasn't fond of when it came to Frank. When his shots weren't falling, he just stopped shooting. And it's like, dude, you're probably the best shooter on the squad during that time, and you would stop shooting. You got to shoot the bucket. You got to shoot the rock to make buckets. So, that's one thing. Grimes, I could see him maturing into somewhat of a, Richard Jefferson type. Maybe not as athletic as Richard Jefferson, but I could see him, molding his game into that.
Yeah, I think can definitely be a valuable piece for them once he starts to feel comfortable with his shot. Maybe this is just like a little transition period where it's something new for him, and he's trying to go out there and play his game. But the confidence level is not always there, because I've never been when I played basketball, I went out there and I played. I don't know what it's like to be a knockdown shooter, and I'm sure that obviously you're going to keep taking shots because that's who you are, but your confidence has to wane a little bit if they're not going down. Eventually, it has to play with you, like, oh, is my release point right? Am I squaring up? You start thinking about little things that maybe you shouldn't be thinking of. But I think he'll be fine, and I kind of look at him. I don't have a lot of lofty expectations for him. I expect him to be a 3-and-D guy for them. But I look at him like a Landry Fields with the jump shot.
Wow.
And
Landry
I like
Fields.
Landry Fields. No, but I liked Landry Fields, man. I thought Landry Fields was a good defender, and he was a good rebounder.
Landry Fields didn't shy away from getting buckets. He didn't shy away at all.
And he would knock down that corner three. He would knock down the corner three. But
he went after it. He tried. He tried to get as many buckets as he can. I tell you. And some days I would be like, "Yo, this kid, he's really trying to go for it, and he ain't the best." He kind of like, "Hello, pass that rock, bro."
Ron,
so I'm hoping.
Ron, you brought up a great point though, like you said, in terms of confidence though, because at some point you're gonna get a little shot to shoot if it's not falling. And coming from a program like Houston where they're running the offense for you, to the NBA where you're getting limited shots, like you said, at some point you're going to get a little shy to jack it up because you want to stay on the floor. You don't want to start going 0 for 5 and have Tibbs just pull you off that court.
Right. That's a fact. Yeah.
Oh no, man.
So,
I didn't have those problems growing up. Shoot or shoot. I stay. Give me the rock. I don't give a shit. Give me the rock.
Give
me the rock. I'm shooting it.
Shooters going to shoot, but ask Swaggy P how that works out for you. Right, ask Swaggy.
Sometimes shoot yourself out the gym.
Right, you shoot yourself off a team if you ain't bringing something else to the table.
That's true.
Or you don't go anywhere. You're still a star, but you go 2 for 18, and we don't win the championship in Houston. But whatever. I mean, John Starks knows what I mean. John Starks knows exactly what I mean.
I thought this was still Nick.
It's a flashback, man.
PTSD.
Yeah, a little bit. I keep hearing I hear it, and then I see OJ in the Bronco. It comes back. I'm good.
Man, all together now.
But Quentin got some things to work on. But another surprising showing that we got in the summer league so far, and we kind of expected him to have some type of impact because this guy's a big guy. He can jump out the gym. But we know he's not a great shooter, and he has some things to work on the defensive end as far as timing with blocks. But Jericho Sims has been a nice bright spot, such a bright spot to the point where you got Knicks fans on Instagram, on Twitter. Oh, you know what? I wonder if the Knicks are going to stay with Nerlens Noel next year. Maybe they should trade him. I don't know if Mitch is going to be around because, his contract year is coming out. I think Jericho could go from here. I'm like, yo, people, New York is wild, man. When it comes to stuff, they jump out the window.
And that's why you got to keep that show going. Know the ledge. You got to come on more, Ron. You got to take advantage of going on and just speaking that truth, because this is crazy. People jump out the gym. It's 2 games that you've seen the kid play. Most people haven't seen this kid play in college. I know I didn't know anything about the kid. Now all of a sudden, everybody's like, they want him to start over Nerlens Noel, who averaged 6, almost league high, right? 6 blocks a game when he was starting.
He was averaging 3, a little over 3 a game.
A little over 3,
but yeah, he had 8, spurts 9. Where he was going crazy. Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, Jericho is a freak athlete, but he's like I said, he's a 2-year project. He's still very raw, and I can understand why people were talking about is Mitch part of the long-term plan, but I don't think it's because of Jericho. I just think when you sign Nerlens Noel to $10 million a year, you wonder what are you really going to give Mitch? Because you're not going to be paying your backup center $10 million a year if you're paying Mitch 15. Let's just call it what it is. But like I said, Jericho is a guy who was a 2-year project. That's why they already locked him into a 2-way deal. They want to protect him. They want to make sure no other team steals him. The same way that happened with Kenny Wooten, who we were big on coming out of our G League as well, and then Sacramento scooped him up. So he's a guy. He's got a little ways to go. Knicks fans, we do this too often. Let's like you said, step back from the ledge. Let's relax a little bit and let the kid play a little bit more before we start inducting him into the Knicks Hall of Fame already, as it looks like people are doing.
Yep. Facts, man.
It gets crazy.
It's 2 games, and this is 2 games against. Right now he looked like a man against boys because this is the summer league. These dudes is young, they small, they can't hang with it. Once he gets into the NBA, got to go up against guys like Dwight Howard and Joel Embiid and Sabonis. Then you start seeing if all of that dominance that it looks like is happening. And still,
I'm just glad he got some weight.
He's playing good, but he's not. Yeah, he's a big dude. I think, like I said, he is going to be similar. I liken him to like a Dwight Howard. I see that type of trajectory for him, and I wouldn't be mad at that. Dwight Howard was a good player, especially in his prime.
Listen, if he learns how to pass off the pick and roll, or like if they could utilize him like they did Joakim Noah, and when he was with the Bulls, and that's a key piece because you have athleticism. He can run up and down the court. That's one thing, Joakim did. He had energy. He was high energy, especially when he was with the Bulls. Not necessarily when he was with the Knicks, but when he was with the Bulls, he was high energy, can pass really well for a big, and he defended well, especially in the paint. So, and he has size. This kid Jericho has size right now. He has freakish athletic ability. You know what I mean? And all he has to do is learn from Coach Payne and others. I think he's gonna do well. And who knows? I mean, I agree. You don't pay your backup center, or your backup center $10 million a year. But there could be opportunities that may open up for Mitch. Who knows? I mean, the way they structure deals nowadays, things tend to find their way. If I mean, we're like, we look at the Knicks, they're predominantly CBA players. You know what I mean? When you look at the other side in the West, and you look at the Lakers, how they're built. They're built a little different than our team is built, and their connections. So anything could be possible. It's pretty much a play now on free agency, who's available, what's on the market, and who wants to hit the big market. So I could see either Mitch sticking around for a certain price tag because he had a short season last year, and he's had so many agency he had how many agents? He had 4 agents, right, in the last 2-3 years. It's been a little bit out there. It's been a little crazy with kind of like those distractions. So maybe they could figure out something for him that makes sense for him to stick around for a little bit, and then maybe in the next 2 to 3 years we find a way to package him out, or maybe even package Noel out. To be honest, I like the upside of Mitch more than I do Noel, but we'll see.
I agree with that. And Noel's contract is very tradable because it's really only a 2-year deal. That third year is the team option. Right. But some of the things that we've seen from Mitch, some of the tweets, he's kind of expressed frustration with the way he's been used, and then he's always posting the videos of himself dribbling and shooting from distance, like trying to show you this is what I can do, but they're not allowing me to do it. I don't know if he's going to really give us that much of a hometown discount. And that's why I referenced making a 10 mil, because then it puts you in a bind of like, all right, what are we really going to give Mitch to be the starter to make him feel comfortable if his backup is getting 10 mil? So, and also in this NBA, if all we really want is a defender, shot blocker, and a rim runner, you don't have to spend top dollar for that. We just saw Andre Drummond go for the league minimum. We see Dwight Howard going for the league minimum. There are very few big men that are worth the big money. If that's all you're looking for from your big man, you don't need to break the bank for him.
Which is interesting because they didn't get the big money, but Harrell did, right? Didn't Harrell get? Oh, how do you pronounce his name? Harrell? Montrez.
He didn't get big money. He got good money, but he opted into this season. I think, which is like right around $9 million for this season that he opted into. But he screwed himself too, because he thought when he left the Clippers he was going to get a massive deal on the free agent market, and that never materialized.
Right. And there was somebody who got a bag. I don't forget who it was. It was not Gobert. It was someone else. It was someone like Montrez. Was it the Hawks?
Talking about John Collins?
Capella? John Collins got it, but it wasn't Capella, was it?
But Capella's deal is from his Houston days. He got that deal right after they lost in the after they lost in the Western Conference Finals. He got that big deal, which he never gonna get another one like that again. But yeah, he got that payday then.
Right. It all depends on the year. You know what I mean?
Right.
It seems like it's ebb and flows for it. Yeah. Right. Ebb and flows to this market. But that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not giving up on Mitch just yet. I mean, we'll still have him under contract for now, and then we'll see. I mean, his agent situation is so, not stable right now. It's unstable, and so we'll see if he gets represented by someone in the CBA or if he goes to LeBron's guys. You know what I mean? So I think he was with LeBron's guys and then left them, didn't he? Didn't he leave?
I don't know because
I'm not sure
he did.
Actually, yeah, I think you're right. I think you are right.
I think he
did. Yeah, no, he did.
He was with them.
He did. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the most recent one that he left.
Yeah. I don't know what's the deal with Mitch and the agent musical chairs that he does. I'm sure it has something to do with little family related stuff that's happening, and because I hear that his family, I don't know, they kind of get into his head a little bit. There's stuff that be going on. So, I mean, I hope that whatever happens, it doesn't come down to something like that. I hope that if the Knicks decide that they don't want to re-sign him, it's because of the fact that, well, he's not contributing enough or his health is an issue. I hope it's not just one of those things like he's a difficult person to deal with. I hope it's not that. Yeah. Oh, we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens.
But I mean, how old is the kid? He's almost like 22, right? 23. He's
22, 23. Yeah, he's still really
at 23 range. Yeah, he's young.
Yeah. So still probably dealing with a lot of stuff emotionally, trying to like figure it all out. Learning the business of being a basketball player, because I don't think he even played, until like later in his high school. Later into high school is when he really started playing. I think because Sherman Williams is his like godfather or uncle or something like that. You remember Sherman Williams from North Carolina? Was it North Carolina? Yeah, I think it was North Carolina. He was a shooter. And I think he was the person who kind of got him into the NBA and got him some looks. So my guess is that if all goes well, if Kenny Payne is truly the godfather of Kentucky, right? Because this guy, he really knows how to mold his players and mold guys. If he could get into him and really sit him down, he could probably get him locked in with the CBA guys, and then they could work out a deal. That's my hope. Because I would hate to lose Mitch to someone else, because he's got so much upside. There's so many things you could do with that length and that height, and he's just getting stronger. Like, he's building muscle. I mean, you get him in the gym a few months, the kid, he's going to grow, and he's going to grow where you need him to grow, hopefully mentally as well. And that game of his, like, to be honest, when you look at our stretches with him on the court versus Noel, you see there was a difference. There was still rim protection, but there was a difference because you had consistent rebounding on Mitch's side, and you had a guy who could come out to the perimeter and defend, and so you really get that from Noel. Plus, he's light in the ass. He gets pushed around a lot. That's one of those things. I look at Noel, it's like, you're not a true center. You're more like a power forward, so we'll see.
Yeah,
Mitch,
I mean,
Say that one more time.
He's got to learn how to stay out of foul trouble too. With Mitch,
yeah.
That's been his biggest Achilles heel. That's why he struggles to stay on the court.
Right.
Got a little something here in the chat. We got a little chat item here from Isabel Maldonado. She says, "Oh my God,
otra vez.
What I would do for one date with that man in the orange and white shirt, I would definitely consider being a Knicks fan."
I'm telling you, man.
That's John's wife.
Sorry, lady. I'm taken.
She loves to every podcast now. She loves to put one item in the chat saying, how special her man is. Let me tell you something. You know what?
I appreciate that.
You are lucky that someone thinks that highly of you, my friend. I'm just going to tell you because I beg to differ.
You ain't lying.
It's okay. It's all right.
You ain't lying. You ain't never lie, Ron. You ain't never lie.
Oh man. Edwin Torres said, "Should we take a look at Schroeder?" I mean, I don't know at this point what would be the need for Schroeder. I mean, we've got Rose, we've got Kemba, we've got Deuce, we've got Vildoza. There's too many to fulfill that role. I don't think at this point. And also, that's a lot of money in the point guard spot. With Rose and Kemba, we don't have that money to be giving Schroeder anything unless he just wants to come here and sit on the team, for $1 million, $2 million. I mean, like, there ain't no money for him. He was hoping for 140, 150 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, I don't think that I don't think we could do it anyway, even if we wanted to.
I mean, whose minutes
I was surprised. Yeah, exactly. You ain't giving up nobody's minutes. I'm surprised that we even were able to. I mean, thankfully Kemba was able to find a way out of OKC, because if it wasn't for that, I don't even see this being a possibility. He wasn't even on my radar when I was looking at potential point guards to pick up. I was looking at other teams. I was even going as far as looking at Charlotte and Rozier's situation. I'm like, well, they got too many guards. Like, if he ups and goes, there's a possibility there. I never really thought about OKC and Kemba, and his situation. I thought it was already locked in.
Right. Speaking of Kemba, what do you feel about Kemba and Evan Fournier's impact on the Knicks going forward? Because, as a tandem, those two guys, even though they didn't have a lot of time to play with each other, they had half a season maybe, not even that, maybe less than that. They looked like they had a nice little chemistry. There's a lot of people talking about how they work together and how that can definitely impact the Knicks. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah,
you want me to start, John?
Speak on that. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. You're our guest, man. Give us your take on that.
I like the move. I think they're both going to be big contributors. As I mentioned earlier, ability to score, off the dribble, spot up shooters, space in the floor, and then late in the shot clock, the more creators, the better. For Kemba especially, I think it's less pressure now than the Boston situation. because he went to Boston. He was replacing Kyrie. Remember, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals that first year, so there was this pressure of trying to win a title there. Whereas now coming to New York, you can be one of the guys. It's Randall's team right now. We're expecting you to provide leadership and stability at the point guard position. You have a great backup in Derrick Rose, so now we're not expecting Kemba to play 35 minutes a night. You can manage his minutes, and if he's completely healthy, I think you're getting a guy who can average the 19 points that he did in Boston. And with Fournier, the price tag was a little high, but we needed a shooter. And same thing as I mentioned, Boston was a different dynamic for him. They didn't need him to be a shot creator. They wanted him to be a spot-up shooter for Tatum and Brown. With the Knicks, he's going to get a little bit more freedom in the offense, I think. I think he's going to shine as well. So I like both the moves, and I think both these guys fit right in.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better, man. You talk about setting the bar high, bro. That's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, those guys, Fournier, although, you know, he came into Boston kind of filling in that Hayward position, I just don't think that was that wasn't kind of like his game. His game is more of a facilitator. You know what I mean? He's a guy who can make other players around him better. And if you get him on the pick and roll with Randall, that's a tough cover. That's a tough cover for anyone because both of them could roll to the rim, both of them could score. You know what I mean, and commit. You know, and draw the foul. They both can shoot. Fournier being the better of the two shooters, and then you just add the Kemba Walker, and that just really meshes really well. Size-wise, defensively is where the question comes in for me. It's like, okay, Kemba never necessarily has ever been the best as a point guard, and neither has Fournier as a small forward shooting guard. Defensively, I think Tibbs is going to have to really do some things. He's really going to have to figure out schemes and plan accordingly to what teams they're playing against, and then maybe do some mix and matches. But one thing we will have on the court at every moment in the game is someone who can facilitate and score. Because when you look at Burks coming off the bench, Rose coming off the bench, and potentially a Fournier, Burks, Rose lineup, or you know what I mean? Like, you can mix and match so many ways with this kind of depth. I think that's super important. And why I keep saying that their teams, even if they're ready for us, they ain't going to be ready for us. Just because we have so much firepower offensively that, you know, defensively, we're going to bring it. You know what I mean? So offensively is where we struggle. Now we got too many options now. We can't just we're not going to just rely on Burks, which for most of those that you know, his runs are crazy. It's like, whoa, he's lining them up for 20 in the third quarter. You know what I mean? It was like, you're not expecting him to take on that bulk anymore. You know, you can share the wealth there offensively. Ron, what's up with you?
Yeah, and I think the Knicks made you know, a very smart, calculated move with this. I mean, they saw what happened with the Hawks. They saw how the Hawks basically took Randall out of the game and forced the team to beat us, and realized that they can't. You know, we didn't have any shot creators. We didn't have solid three-point shooting. So they went out and they got it. And it's not really Thibodeau is going to have to get creative. He's going to have to figure out ways to make sure he's got defenders on the court. But we were top 4 in the league in defense at the end of the season. It was most of the season we were number 1. But we were top 4 at the end of the year. So to trade off a little bit of defense and still probably stay in the top 10 in defense and build up your offense, because I think we were bottom in the league. We were either bottom 4 or bottom 3 in offense. You know, you gotta figure out some way to how to balance these teams, because those are the teams that go further in the playoffs. And obviously, when you have the upper echelon players, you can take it to the next level. But he had to do that. And, you know, another thing that I think he needs to really think about, and maybe that's already on the horizon, is some type of offensive coach or offensive coordinator. We need some good schemes on offense. And I don't know necessarily if Thibodeau is the right person to you know, orchestrate this stuff. He does make some of these guys better when they play on a Thibodeau team, but that doesn't mean he's running the best offensive sets. So maybe I saw it was a suggestion One of our followers on Twitter was like, they should probably bring in somebody like a Steve Clifford, which I'm okay with Steve Clifford. He's a very good offensive coach. That'd be great if they could do something like that. I don't know if they plan on making any coaching changes. Maybe they'll just expand on some of the responsibilities that some of the guys have currently. We'll see. But I think that would be a nice move. And with these additions, the Knicks could probably make a lot of noise, and it's going to make it that much easier for the rest of the guys on the team who struggled last year. That's what I think.
Do you guys know who took over for Woodson when he left?
I don't know if anybody replaced them at that time because the Knicks they were full on coaches. So I think they just played it out with what they had.
Yeah, I don't think he was actually replaced because it was so late in the season. I think they just stood with the staff that they had.
Right.
And Ron, you brought up a great point there, like you said, about trying to close that gap between how good they are defensively and how bad they were offensively. Obviously, the additions helped there, but we were very bad in pace of play as well. And that's one area that Kemba will help, getting easy baskets, getting out in transition. Ron, you talked about it earlier. Obi on a break with Kemba is going to be showtime every time they're out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That's a great point. John loved to bring up how bad we were in transition. That's like his pet peeve. He did not like that last year. Let me tell you.
Yeah, it made no sense.
But yeah, and and I'm looking at the chat and I see a lot of suggestions. Jose Lopez mentioned how he likes the Kentucky pipeline, low money, a solid big like a Patrick Patterson. He also mentioned that we should go get a guy like Josh Hart. He's 6'5". You can get double digits from him. He defends well. I actually like Josh Hart.
He's in the market. He is in the market, right? He just got he's in the free agency, right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, that's not a bad pickup.
And I think that Edwin Torres also mentioned Haslam as a free agent, but Haslam at this point in his career is kind of like
we got a Haslam. We got Taj.
Yeah, we got Taj Gibson, so we wouldn't need Haslam, even though he's a great locker room guy. He's a great bench guy, but he brings less to a team than Taj gives you. Taj can still play in spurts. Like when you ask too much of Taj, like you're basically not using him properly. But if you want 10 to 15 minutes from Taj on certain moments, Taj can get busy still. It's just you can't play the guy 25 minutes, which is what the Knicks had to do at a lot of points last year.
At the stretch, we had to do that, right?
Yeah. You don't want to keep doing that stuff. But the Knicks did make an acquisition today about an hour or so before we got on and did the podcast. They did sign Dwayne Bacon from the Orlando Magic. I don't necessarily know how they're going to, use him. But I do know that John and I did talk about it before. He lit us up at one point in the season last year. And someone on Twitter said, I can see Clyde saying, oh, Bacon is sizzling. So that will work perfect.
Yeah. It's interesting, man. Clyde the Glide is going to be definitely putting that work in with that name if he gets some minutes. I mean, to be honest, man, this came as a surprise because it wouldn't have been this, it wouldn't have been Bacon that would have been on my radar. It was, from the moment we were in free agency, I was thinking about, Ross and him being a part of the Knicks, and then that kind of didn't come to fruition, and they went with Fournier. So now having, Bacon on our team, it's interesting. It's like, wow, okay, this kid is solid as a player. I mean, he's strong. He's got size to him. He could obviously hit the 3-point. He's good from the 3-point range. I don't know much about him. I guess after this show, I'm going to start researching him and learning more about his game. But he's about 6'7", though. I do know that, and he plays the small forward position. So that should be a good fit, especially because we needed depth. And again, this is just an addition to our depth right now, but this doesn't really vibe well for an Obi Toppin. This is another one that, like, you know what I mean? Like, it may take your minutes, especially if you're playing the 3 a lot in summer league. So I don't know.
Yeah, and Bacon just side note, Bacon is 6'8". He averaged
6'8".
right under 11. Yeah, he's 6'8". He averaged right under 11 points per game. So, yeah, this is definitely, the Knicks are saying the writing's on the wall. It's time for Obi to show us what he can do because there's other guys coming in. Hey, what do you think about that, E?
I agree with both you guys. Bacon is a 3-and-D guy. He's the type of length that we need off the bench. Like you said, small forward. In some lineups, he may even play the 4 if you want to play really small. But, yeah, it's going to be a fight coming off the bench for who's going to get those minutes at the 3 because, like you said, Obi's got to find somewhere to play. We got to find minutes for Burks as well because we already have 2 really good guards coming off the bench. So Bacon just adds more pressure and adds more depth to a team that I know we're all excited to see.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you know, unlike you, John, Bacon is always on my radar. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
But yeah, man, it's very interesting to see what they do. We got one more chat. Luis Quinones said he is in agreement on the fact that a new offensive coordinator, fresh face for the new players would be a nice look. I mean, hey, you know, I don't think it's I don't know how Thibodeau runs his ship over there. I don't know how opinionated, how much authority he likes to impose. Maybe it won't work. Maybe he doesn't want to bring in somebody who's not one of his guys, but it would be a nice look. I think we had the same problem happen to us in the past on the reverse. We were a very good offensive team. We had that 7 seconds or less offensive strategy that Mike D'Antoni was running, but we couldn't play defense to save our lives. Then eventually, what happens? We get Woodson in here, and we have one of our best seasons, that the Knicks have had in years when we won 51 games. So the whole point is sometimes you got to give up a little bit of authority for the overall goal. You handle the defense, make some suggestions when it needs to be, but bring somebody in here who's really good with the offensive X's and O's, and maybe we can take this team to a point of, I think they're getting respectable now, but still people don't believe it yet. That's one season. The East was, funky. People got hurt. So they're not giving the Knicks as much credit as they deserve yet. We're going to have to show and prove one more year for them to start saying, okay, now they got a culture. One year is something to think about. 2 years is a habit and a culture. I think that's when you start building.
Yeah, I think everybody's so high on, all of the player movement that happened, you know what I mean? And Brooklyn, of course, having all of those, all-stars on one team. I think they're still high on those teams being healthy and prime for a playoff championship run. But again, you like with the last few years, everything in the NBA is unexpected. You don't necessarily it's not going to round up just exactly how they think it to round up the way, you know what I mean? Like you're going to play an 82 season. There's going to be injuries. You don't know who's going to last, who isn't, and things are going to change throughout the season. So I think for us, I think we're doing it the right way. We have some depth. We're building a culture. We're building on some players that we believe in. And look, any acquisition that we make beyond this is just added, icing on the cake for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. The Knicks are building it the right way for the first time in a long time. I'm glad they didn't get caught up in the hype of trying to make a splashy move this offseason and said, no, we're going to continue on this trend. We're going to develop our young guys and put ourselves in position to strike when the right free agent or the right trade is available. So I love what they're doing. Ron, to your point, it is a show and prove season. Tibbs has got to show that he's not going to burn out the players, which has been a previous habit of his. He's got to show that they're building this culture from within. And ultimately, the guys got to show that they truly have bought in. It wasn't a one-year thing, that they're truly this type of defensive team that has the potential to make noise in the East.
I agree. I'm hoping for the best, man. I tell you one thing. I thought I was excited last year. I'll be even more excited this year. The expectations are a little higher, but I'm still a realist, and that's the problem. A lot of Knicks fans, you got to have some realism into your thought process when it comes to your favorite teams. It doesn't matter how bad they've been over the years. When you see a little glimpse of hope and you see something building, you got to know it's still a process. It ain't gonna happen overnight. But next year, I do think that we should be able to win more than 41 games. Now, I'm not saying much more. I mean, it could be 43 games, and that could be a plus because the East is going to be a lot better than it was last year. A lot of teams improved. You got guys coming back that are healthy. So some of these teams that should have been making noise didn't do it as much last year. This year, it's all coming back. Last year, the Knicks were they finished the 4th seed. We had this conversation before. I think when I ran down the list of Eastern Conference teams, I think the Knicks might be around 6 or 7. They should be, lucky if they're 6 or 7 because a lot of teams are good this year, and you got to worry about the young teams like Charlotte, who definitely have improved. And now they trying to run all over us with the LaVar boys. So I don't know, what's happening right now.
I always look at it like this, man. In the beginning of the season, you want to look at each team, what they're good at, what they aren't good at. You know what I mean? And you base it off of that. And then you base it off the schedule that they have to do the entire season. You base it at the first half of the schedule and how they round out, who they play when they play them. And that's what we did last year. We looked at each game, and we looked at a week worth of games and said, hey, how do we feel they match up against these teams? And once you could do that, you can find where you can win a game, winnable games, win those winnable games, and then get some games that they're not expecting you to win, but you take, they may take it for granted, or you just may be outplaying them and you may be in a hot streak. You know what I mean? And I think this team that we're building right now could potentially come into some hot streaks. When you talk about shooters like Kemba and Fournier and Rose off the bench, we got that streaky type of offense right now where we could win some games that some people may not be seeing that from us. You know what I mean? So I still see them personally around 4 to 5 because I think there are teams that right now are super young, and I think with us bringing in some veteran, experienced players, they understand what it takes to win in this league. Right? Fournier is not a rookie. He's not young. He's a seasoned vet. Kemba's a seasoned vet. You matched him up with a Randall who is now becoming that seasoned vet. I think we got something there. And I think the coaching is going to be on point all year. And so I still see them 4 or 5. If they drop to 6, I wouldn't be mad at it, but I don't see them as a 7-8 seed like other folks see them. I really do see him in the middle of the pack and an injury away from a 3rd place. You know what I mean? Depending on who's healthy, who isn't. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I think they're in that second tier of teams in the East. The East is tough, man. After Brooklyn and Milwaukee, obviously Philly, and then I think we're in that next group of teams, however you want to order them out, because, Atlanta's good. You got us. Boston still has 2 All-Stars. Miami now is loaded up. Chicago is loaded up. Like you said, you got younger teams like Charlotte. I expect the Wizards to probably try to make another move as well because the Wizards up against it. They got to prove to Bradley Beal that they can be a contender. So they may try to make another move as well. But I think we're somewhere in that range, 4 to 6, 4 to 7. And we can't forget our division as a whole is tough. Brooklyn and Philly are in our division. Boston, those are not going to be easy games. And I don't think Ujiri is just going to let Toronto tank. Nick Nurse is too good of a coach. They still got some pieces there. They're going to try to be competitive. And we can't forget last year, they really played no home games. They played in Tampa all year. So now that they actually get back to playing at home, now that they get a chance to play at home in front of their crowd, they're going to be competitive again. So the Atlantic division is very tough. Ron, to your point, if the Knicks win 41 games, 42, 43 games, there's no shame in that. That doesn't mean we took a step back. That just shows you how good the Eastern Conference is.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Yeah, no.
As much credit as folks want to, as much credit as folks want to give Philly, man, there's something going on, something brewing in Philly. It may not be the same team we see now to start the season. So I guess there's more to see there, but it just seems like there's some turmoil there, and the influx between Embiid and what's the kid's name, Simmons, it doesn't look like it's unhappy. They're going to be in happy mode to start the season out. So I don't know, man. If they trade an asset or two away, that might not be the team that people are seeing right now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, they're built to
I
win
agree.
now. Yeah,
Say
they're
that one
built
more
to
time.
win now. They're built to
Right.
win now. So if they trade Ben, it's going to be to stay competitive. I don't think they'll make any trade to take a step back. But to your point, if they go into the season with the roster that's currently constructed, yeah, I could see some turmoil and I could see some issues there with a divided locker room, because I'm sure there are guys already in that locker room who've chosen sides. And until they resolve the situation, they're never going to play up to their full potential.
Which is
Yep.
crazy because they gave Harris the bag. So it's like, oh, you gave him the bag and I'm supposed to be the star? So it's going to be interesting to see.
Ben got his money too, but Ben got to start showing that he's worth that money.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, they're a little stuck right now. So they got to just go out there and perform, do what they should be doing. A different different mindset, they could be tough. But I don't know. Right now, it looks a little murky in those waters. You're right, John. It looks a little murky over there.
Hey man, listen, can you imagine De'Aaron Fox and Simmons and they make the trade that way versus it being the Lillard trade? Because everyone's talking about the Lillard 76ers trade. But can you imagine a De'Aaron Fox, because right now they're loaded at point guard position, can they move De'Aaron Fox with a couple of assets to get Simmons? Because, what does that look like? You know what I mean? That's a different team. Some would say they're a better team. Some would say they're not. I mean, who knows?
Although I will tell
different.
you, on the defensive end, Ben Simmons is locked down. And if it wasn't for Ben Simmons, we would have knocked them boys out a couple games last year. He put the clamps on RJ.
But he's a different player, right? Like, it's different. Like, De'Aaron Fox is more of an offensive weapon because he can hit free throws down the stretch of games. But as an overall player, what Ben provides or gives the team, he can defend every position. You know what I mean? And he's a great facilitator. He just doesn't hit free throws. I mean, he can't hit a jump shot, but,
This is true.
It's a liability.
It's deeper than the free throws, though. It's a mindset with Ben, because he got very passive in that series. I saw the numbers where I think he shot a total of 5 times in the fourth quarter of that series. So over the course of 7 games, you only took 5 shots in the fourth quarter. And obviously everyone saw the passed up dunk opportunity. So it's bigger than just the missed free throws. He just, something in his mindset either needs to change, or maybe he just needs a change of scenery. And maybe that's where De'Aaron Fox would be better, because De'Aaron Fox would consistently be aggressive. He would consistently drive. And De'Aaron Fox is no slouch defensively. He ain't Ben Simmons. But De'Aaron Fox is a quick guard who can stay with you on the perimeter. He's just not all first-team NBA, but still a good player.
Right. No, he definitely is. Well, I mean, listen, I hope they have all types of infighting. I hope Joel Embiid walks out the locker room, don't want to suit up. So, yeah, whatever helps the Knicks is what I'm looking for. But yeah, man, this is this has been great. I think our conversations about the Knicks and what they're doing these past couple of weeks has been fantastic. And I appreciate having you here, Eric. You definitely have brought something to the podcast and given us a nice insight, some good takes on a lot of stuff. This is the whole goal of this, is for us to be able to have these conversations with people who have their own opinions, but can help us think a little bit differently, because being a Knicks fan, it's tough, man. We need all the help we can get, and sometimes the light at the end of the tunnel seems a little dim, yo. I don't know. Is it there? Like,
not anymore. It's starting to look real nice.
No, it's looking good now. No, definitely appreciate having you on. Before we get to some final words, I just want to shout out the chat once again. Thanks to everybody who has been on watching us. We appreciate you guys. Shout out once again to all of y'all. A couple final words. Jose Lopez said that bacon comes from the Florida state system, so Tibbs will like that. That's good. That's good. Yeah, that's good. And the Edwin Torres said the Bulls and Heat added players too. So those are two. The Heat is another team that are going to be better than they were. So we got to watch. watch them.
They're
and
gonna
the
run.
Bulls,
They're gonna run for it. They're gonna make a run for it.
The Bulls have definitely changed their team too. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it is. And hold on, this gentleman here, Jose Astorga, says, "I love this show." Oh man, thank you, Jose. You're a good guy. We appreciate you. We love you. No, Jose is actually our man on the ones and twos behind the scenes, holding us down, making all this stuff look pretty. So thank you, Jose. We appreciate you, brother. Eric, once again, I thank you for being on with us. So if guys want to see you and listen to some of your takes on the Knicks and other sports, where can they get you guys at? Where can they find you?
So first things first, I thank you guys again for having me on the show. As I mentioned before we went on air, we got to have you guys with us on Real Fans Real Talk. Verizon Channel 43 every Thursday night, 8 to 9 p.m. if you're in the New York City area. If you're not, check us out on Real Fans Real Talk, our YouTube page. We post up every episode after it goes live on Thursday nights. Instagram and Facebook, you can find me, Legend in 2 Games, completely spelled out. Also, affiliate podcast and my personal podcast, The Sanchez Show, that's streaming across all major platforms. So I give all my sports takes there as well when I'm not on Real Fans Real Talk.
Oh, sweet.
That's
very
dope.
nice.
That's
very
dope.
Nice.
Hey, man, shout out to Tripp, man, and happy birthday to him, man.
Absolutely, man. Shout out to Tripp. Happy birthday to him. Next time, like I said, he'll be on the show with me, but we got to get you guys on our show as well. So we're going to put something together. Maybe we do an NBA special before the season starts with you guys coming on.
That would be dope.
Yeah,
man.
that sounds
we just
great.
come fully Nick loaded.
Yeah.
he won't get a word in.
Yeah, that would be great. We'd love to do it. Thank you again for being here. And we appreciate, like I said, having you and all your takes. John, once again, my man, another one in the books. Talk about these Knicks. You know how we do it.
Episode 26. You already know how it is. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Subscribe. Tune in.
Yeah, man, and definitely hit that like button, man. If you're out there and you're watching us, we appreciate you. Hitting that like button shows others that, hey, something going on over there. Let me go check that show out. I appreciate it. I can't tell you, it's very frustrating for me. Not even about our show. I'm talking about when I look at some of these other shows, like the Knick Fans TV, and I look at Nothing But Knicks and Legion of Knicks and all these different podcasts, man. I look at, they've got like 1,000 people that are viewing, and they have like 100 likes. I mean, it's not that hard to hit that like button. So once again, definitely hit that like button for us, but also hit that like button for all these other popular shows, man. They're putting out good content, and they definitely would appreciate you hitting that like button for them. Once again, this has been a pleasure. This has been Still Knick Fans Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you to our special guest, Eric Sanchez, for being here from the Real Fans Real Talk Podcast. And also, I want to say that, once again, thank you to Mr. Ron Cleveland from the Man Show. I hope everything goes good with your future endeavors, bro. But we appreciate what you did lend to the Knick universe. We hope to get you back in the future. But for now, thank you for everything, and hopefully everything goes well for your family. So this has been the Still Knick Fans Podcast, man. We're going to see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And like I said, like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend who tells another friend about who told the friend.
All right, we out of here.
All right, take care.
Peace.
It's a litmus test just to see who's best. Roll the dice, break the pipe, and let's see who's next. Ron and Jon on the mic, talking New York Knicks. We be rooting and recruiting for the boot camp clip. Take a step back, take a minute.